I don't remember the exact day it happened, but I remember the light, that quiet, golden light that falls in the late afternoon, the kind that makes everything look softer, like the world is forgiving you for a moment. That was the day I realized what I had lost. People say time heals everything, but I don't think that's true. Time doesn't heal, it just teaches you how to hide the pain better. I was 23 when I met her, Anna. She was quiet, always reading something. The first time I saw her, she was sitting on a bench outside the library, holding a cup of coffee that had probably gone cold. I remember how the wind played with her hair. She wasn't the kind of person who filled the room with noise. She filled it with calm. I was the opposite. Loud, always joking, always trying to prove something. Maybe that's why I was drawn to her. She was peace. I was chaos. I didn't know what to say, so I said the first thing that came to mind. "Is that book good?" She looked up, smiled faintly, and said, "It's quiet." I didn't understand what she meant at the time, but that was Anna. Her words always carried something more than they seemed. From that day, I started finding excuses to see her. I'd wait near the library just to say hello. Sometimes we'd walk together to the bus stop. Sometimes we'd just sit in silence, the kind of silence that doesn't need to be filled. I didn't know it then, but those were some of the happiest moments of my life. We grew closer. She would tell me about her dreams, to be a teacher, to move to a quiet town by the sea, to plant flowers in her garden. I told her mine, to make money, travel, buy a big house, and never feel small again. She laughed. "You're always running," she said once. "Do you ever stop to breathe?" I didn't know how to answer that. The truth was, I was always afraid of being ordinary, afraid of failing. So I kept running, chasing things I thought would make me happy. When I got a job offer in another city, I didn't think twice. I told Anna I'd be back soon, that it was only temporary. She nodded, smiled that soft smile of hers, and said, "I'll be here." But months turned into years. Calls became shorter. Messages came less often. I told myself I was too busy. I told myself she'd understand. But every time I hung up the phone, the silence that followed felt heavier. It was a cold night. I had just finished a long day at work. My phone rang. It was her. "Hi," she said softly. "Do you ever miss home?" "I sometimes, but I'm doing fine. The company's growing fast. Maybe next year I'll visit." There was a long pause. Then she said something I didn't expect. "Sometimes I wish you'd stayed." I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. And that silence was the beginning of the end. 2 years later, I came back. The town looked smaller than I remembered. The air smelled of rain and memory. I went to the old library, but the bench was empty. When I asked about her, the librarian looked at me gently and said, "She moved away last year. She left something for you." It was a letter. The paper was soft, folded neatly, my name written on it in her handwriting. I opened it slowly. "Dear Michael, I hope you're doing well. I don't know if you'll ever read this, but I wanted to thank you. You taught me how to laugh louder. You made my quiet days brighter. But you were always looking at the horizon while I was standing here, hoping you'd look back. Maybe we wanted different kinds of happiness. I just wish we had said goodbye properly. Take care of yourself. Anna." I sat there for a long time. The rain started to fall, slowly at first, then harder. I didn't move. I didn't care. It hit me then. The thing I had been running from was not failure, it was loss. And I had finally caught up with it. People say regret fades with time, but some regrets don't fade. They become a part of who you are. I still go back to that town every year. The bench is still there. The library still smells like old paper and dust. Sometimes I sit there with a cup of coffee, just like she used to, and I imagine what life could have been if I had stayed. If you love someone, don't wait for the right time. There is no perfect time, only the moments we lose by hesitating. If I could go back, I'd tell her how much she meant to me. I'd tell her that her silence was my favorite sound, that her calm saved me from myself. But life doesn't let you rewind. It only lets you remember. Last year, I found out she had become a teacher in a small seaside town, just like she dreamed. I went there, not to see her, but to see the life she built. The school was small, bright, filled with flowers. Children were laughing in the yard, and there she was, standing by the window of her classroom, smiling. She didn't see me. I didn't call her name. I just watched for a few seconds and realized she looked happy. That was enough. I'm 38 now. Still single, still working, still remembering. But every now and then, when the afternoon light turns golden, I think of that day, that bench, that letter, and I whisper softly to myself, "Don't run this time." Because my biggest regret wasn't losing her. It was not being there when it mattered. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever lost someone or missed your chance to say how you feel, you understand. Please remember, don't wait. Don't let fear or pride steal your moment. Sometimes one word can change everything. Thank you for today. And if you liked this story, please subscribe so you don't miss the next one.